going to try this a little different today and actually record some audio. So I'm going to be trying to finish up this exhaust. It's been quite a project. These are reproduction headers from a seller on eBay out of Thailand, I think. This is actually the second set of headers I've had to buy. Well, third set if you count the used ones, but I bought a set from David Silver Spares. They looked alright, but the flange was at the wrong angle, so it was kicking the headers way up, and there was just no way they were going to fit. So I ended up returning those. Bought a used pair. They're sitting over there on eBay of original headers. And they were so pitted that I contacted Paul's Chrome about getting them re-chromed. They said that the pits were so deep they weren't sure if they could even grind them out. So I decided to take one more shot on the reproduction headers, and I'm actually really happy with these. The bend is really smooth along the bottom there. Some of the reproductions, they just look really pinched. But this set actually looks great. They fit good. And I'm going to be fitting a pair of the MGO, what are they, Dunstall style mufflers. I think they're about 27 3/4 inches. Not exactly, I guess they're closer to the later CBs, like the 350 you see over there. Not really anywhere near the style of the Super Hawk mufflers, but for the price, a new or even a used set, it's just way out of my price range right now for this project. So we're gonna see how these do. I've got one mocked up here. I bent a piece of aluminum. It's the same length as the steel bracket or whatever you want to call it that comes with the mufflers. I was just trying to figure out the angle because it needs to be offset a little bit if I can get the camera to focus. I guess the best mounting point for now is going to be to this foot peg bracket. I don't have a ton of confidence in this little aluminum tab, but for the sake of getting this thing installed, getting to a point where I can fire up the engine, this will do fine. So what I got to do now is pull this back off of here. We're going to take this out to the vise and bend the steel brackets that came with the mufflers. Here's the model and part number of these mufflers I'm using if anyone's interested. I got these off of DennisKirk.com. Alright, so here are the brackets that come with the mufflers. They just look like they're just stamped steel. I had taken a piece of scrap aluminum and kind of bent it back and forth till I got the offset just right. So hopefully I can just replicate these two bends on these and we'll be good to go. Get a square here. looks pretty good. Probably should have stuck them both in there. Let's see. Yeah, pretty close. I'm gonna bend it back the other way now. I'll have to repaint these at some point. The paint's chipping off. Here we go. There. Good. Do this one more time and be ready to install this. Almost got that one away. Looks good. Alright, what I'm trying to do now is just get a reference point for when I'm installing the muffler on these headers. There's no indication as to how deep it needs to sit, and the muffler itself, you could probably slide that on a good 3 or 4 inches. So I'm just going to use one of the shims that we're going to need, one of the reducers, and I'm just going to make a mark. I want to go at least this deep to make sure that's pretty seated. I'm just going to use a little paint pen here, make a couple marks. That way when I'm installing the muffler on, I know that I've gone at least that deep. I'm also going to use some of this tailpipe sealer, because these shims leave a big gap. Seems like that's going to be an exhaust leak through this channel here, because they don't actually close up tight. You can see here, that's as tight as this is going to get. That's a huge gap. So I'm going to use some of this. I've used it in the past. Seems to work pretty well and hold up pretty well over time. So I'm going to try to get these kind of semi-assembled on the bench here. It's easier when I'm not fighting the parts of the bike that are in the way. So give me a minute here and we'll get started. Alright, here's where we're at with this. It turns out that the ends of the two exhausts, because I knew one of them fit just fine when I mocked it up, this one here is just fractions of a millimeter smaller than this one. This is the one we just tried to install and it was fighting us. So just retried this one with the shim, same muffler, everything fits as it should. So what I'm going to do now, and I don't know if it's a thickness in the chrome or if this one's a little bit out around, I don't know. So I'm going to take this to the grinder, take a little bit of chrome off of this, and then we'll give it another shot. Alright, in an effort to make a little progress here, before I start sanding away the chrome on this one, I'm going to install the other pipe that I know fits. I just double checked that. I'm going to use the same muffler. I wiped off the old tailpipe sealer. We're going to put some new stuff on, hopefully not make a big mess. Looks like this thing was leaking over here. Try to use a little bit less this time. Now, one thing I did notice, that if you put this in first, these little crimps here can actually push against the wall of the muffler and actually compress this. I don't know if that's part of what we were fighting. So in essence, it's reducing the diameter of this. So when you go to put your header in, it's already too tight. So you're fighting that. So what I did when I was testing this one out, I put the spacer on the header and then installed that into the muffler. So that's what we're gonna do here again. Let me make sure I have this clocked right. That should go in there. So put some of this goop on here. And again, I've done the same thing. I marked how deep I want this inside the muffler. On the right hand side, you've got a lot more clearance with the crankcase for the exhaust. The left hand side, not so much. You'll see that in a minute. So we're going to slide that on there. Put some of this crap in this channel here. Need a third hand. Oh. Let me knock this garbage off my fingers. Alright, so the shim on the header. That's actually what I didn't want to happen. The downside of this muffler sealant is it makes a hell of a mess. Come on, you bugger. I gotta do this on the floor. Give me 1 second. Let's see. I'm gonna put a glove on because every time I need to move the camera, I gotta go wash my hands. So, all right, let's give this one more try like this. There we go. All right, let's try to get this kind of clocked where we want it. Just gonna get as much of this off here as I can. It's gonna be harder to reach it when it's on the bike. And that green paint pen that's on there will come off with a little bit of acetone. I'm not worried about that. Alright, I think we might be ready to try to install this. As long as it doesn't tip over here. Alright, let me get you set up on the other side here. Alright, I'm not sure what the best angle for this is going to be, but we'll give it a shot. I think no matter what I do, I'm going to be in your way a little bit. So, let's see. Probably put something over here. this on, flange on, copper gaskets in. So that's I'm going to put this bolt in just temporarily so this doesn't fall on the ground while I'm fighting these flanges up here. Let me show you what I'm fighting here. These just do not want to seat in this collar. And until they do, I can't get quite enough threads on there to get the nuts on and tighten this up. So give me a second, I'm gonna fight with this and we'll see where we get. Alright guys, it's a couple days later here. I didn't really get much time to work on this over the weekend. But off camera, a few days ago, I did get the left-hand side exhaust installed. I didn't wind up recording it because it was probably about a good hour of screwing around, just trying to get the clearances right. On the left-hand side, there's not a lot of clearance between the header and the crankcase there. And the problem I was having was just getting the flange and those, I don't even know what they're called, the little keepers that press the header up against the head. And what was happening is this curve right here on these reproductions starts a little bit sooner than the stock. So when I would get that fitted up there and try to get the flange on the studs and get these keepers lined up, it just wouldn't, it didn't have enough wiggle room to get these seated right. These little keepers, I don't know if the camera's gonna focus here. So what I wound up doing is taking the studs, here they are down here, I took those out and I wound up using some of these Allen head screws for now. I don't know if this will have to be the permanent solution. I just could not get this thing lined up with those studs there. But this way, by using the screws, or bolts or whatever you want to call them, I was able to get everything in place and then thread those in, and that gave me enough wiggle room to get things seated correctly. So I'm gonna throw the camera on the tripod here and we'll see if we can get this right side installed and finally check the exhaust off the list. Alright, and also my plan of kind of pre-assembling the header and the muffler, that went completely out the window because on top of trying to figure out the stud issue and getting everything seated, having the weight of that muffler on the end, that was just causing further headaches. So I'm installing the header first, we'll get that all snugged up and then we'll worry about fitting the muffler on there. And these, for now, I'm just using these. They're just stainless Allen head. Honestly, I don't know if I would consider that a screw or a bolt. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But it's easier to get in there with one of these T-handle drivers. I can always swap those out later on. I've already got the copper gasket installed. See if I can do this. I need a third hand here. I'm not going to go too tight yet. I need to be able to rotate this a little bit while I'm figuring out where the muffler needs to be. Yeah. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. I'm just trying to get this bracket fitted ahead of time so I'm not trying to reach behind the muffler. And then if you remember, this was the side, the diameter of the header was just a little bit bigger on this one than the other side. So what I wound up doing is just, I don't know if you can see in there, to sand it a little bit out of here with the Dremel, just to give me just a little bit more clearance. And then I test fit this on the bench and it went okay. So hopefully nothing's changed here. How do I do this? And what I'll do, I forgot this, didn't I? Damn it. Alright, one more time. This is why I don't usually record audio. I can't think and do and talk at the same time without forgetting something. Alright. Try this again. That's the one. Screw those bolts up. Alright, that look good? And these are just, I think I might have said before, these are just temporary. I'll get some nicer looking bolts. Because these are way too long and I'm mounting them from the back, but they'll do the job for today. I do not have a lot of clearance here for that chain on this side. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Alright, I think we've got everything where we need it to be. Now it's just a matter of tightening things up. Run out of it. So I can get you out of here. Okay. Cinch this up a little at a time. And once this engine's been heat cycled a time or two, I'll need to come back and retighten all this stuff. Whoa. Almost knocked the camera over. That's pretty sturdy. Get some of this. Jeez, come off in enough pieces. Get something to clean all the fingerprints and garbage off of there, but let me get you off of the tripod here. So here we go. It doesn't look too bad. I'm really happy with these headers. The line is good. Everything fits really good. The mufflers don't even look that bad. check out the other side here. We got a decent height off the ground. They're pretty close to where the stock mufflers would have sat. Plenty of ground clearance. Not look too bad from back here. Get the wrapping off of this side. I think we can call this done for now. As soon as it warms up, I think we're about ready to fire this bike up and see how these sound. I'm happy with that. Alright, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you liked it and you want to see the rest of this series, make sure you subscribe. If you hated the audio, let me know. If you liked it, let me know. Either way, I'm not sure if I'll do it every time or not. Like I said, it's hard to figure this stuff out and talk and film and actually make any kind of progress at the same time, but see what I can do. Alright, thanks for watching.